Cybersecurity is always a concern, but due to the war in Ukraine, world governments have issued warnings about data security to protect against hacking. How can authors protect their work and take action to protect their data? What easy steps can you take this week to be in a much better state of preparedness, to be ready, to safeguard your finances and your work? Let's dive into the 5-day security challenge in episode 24 of Writing Pursuits. Welcome to the Writing Pursuits podcast, where authors like you discuss writing craft, author life, and book marketing strategies. I'm your host, Catrice McKee. I own Writing Pursuits and write and produce the weekly newsletter, Writing Pursuits Tips for Authors. In addition, I am a speculative fiction author. Writing Pursuits is for authors who drink too much coffee, endure judgmental looks from their furry writing companions, and struggle for words. Hey, Writing Pursuits authors, welcome back to the podcast. To those of you who are new, I want to extend a special welcome. My name is Catrice McKee, and I'm glad you're here. Please leave a comment, a star rating, follow the show to help others find Writing Pursuits. If you're on YouTube, if you're seeing this on YouTube, then click the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up. Anyway, cybersecurity is always a concern, but due to the war in Ukraine, world governments have issued warnings about data security to protect against hacking. Here in the US, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, that's a mouthful, CISA for short, recently issued a Shields Up notice. Ironically, their warnings and advice are posted on the internet. But here is the main point, and I quote: while there are no specific or credible cyber threats to the U.S. homeland at this time, Russia's unprovoked attack on Ukraine, which has involved cyber attacks on Ukrainian government and critical infrastructure organizations, may impact organizations both within and beyond the region. Every organization, large and small, must be prepared to respond to disruptive cyber activity. End quote. The warning makes sense. Many countries have issued sanctions against Russia, like cutting them off from world markets. So it only makes sense that cyber warfare will go into overdrive against vulnerable systems around the world, especially against systems in the US. Your tiny corner of the cyber world is in danger too. In the CISA notice, there's a section entitled Steps Americans Can Take to Protect Themselves. 1. Implement multi factor authentication on your accounts. 2. Update your software. In fact, turn on automatic updates. 3. Think before you click. And 4. Use strong passwords. Well, that sounds simple. Let's adapt those guidelines for authors. My guys, take the 5-day security challenge. There are literally hundreds of ways to heighten your data security, but let's set aside about an hour each day for 5 days to make sure we are secure. If you already use a password manager like LastPass, then you're at least halfway there. If you get to the end of the checklist and want to contribute more suggestions or corrections, please leave them in the comments at writingpursuits.com/podcast/24. Thanks. Your intellectual property is your lifeblood, so let's do something really basic right off the bat. Day one, find all of your manuscript master copies and your latest work in process files and email them to yourself. Emailing manuscripts to yourself is a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad backup system, but it is way better than doing nothing at all. Many thanks to author Judith Viorst for the description. I love her book about Alexander and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day, so I stole it. We can all relate, right? Before you email your manuscripts to yourselves, do the following. Number one, get LastPass or get another password manager. I don't care what the brand is. I'm just going to call it LastPass because that's what I use. LastPass is a free option, a premium option for $36 a year, or a family option for $48 a year. Both of those have monthly plans too. This is the best money I have ever spent for my peace of mind. Download the LastPass app to your mobile phone too. You're going to need it. 2, implement two-factor authentication on all of your email accounts. Strong passwords are not enough anymore. Search for how to implement two-factor authentication for your email account and follow the directions. I'm I am including the link for Gmail's directions in the show notes because Gmail is so ubiquitous. Number 3, first thing, change your email passwords. I know you've had it for years, and I know that you've used it somewhere else. So now is the time to change your email passwords. LastPass has a password generator built in. Repeat after me. I do not need to memorize my password or write them down. I don't need to do that. If you have more than one email account, protect all of them. I can hear some of you getting ready to argue with me, but you do not need to memorize or write down your passwords. The only password you need to remember is the one for LastPass or your password manager. So make it something you can remember, make it strong. One password to memorize. That's it. That's the only one you have to memorize from now on. That one password. I love it. I don't know my passwords to anything. Not anything. Just the one to LastPass. Now email your manuscripts one at a time to yourself and make sure you use a clear subject line so you can find it in the future. All right, that's the end of day 1. You have a password manager, your email accounts are locked down, and you have a last resort copy of each of your manuscripts. Good work. Day 2, clean up your phone and tablet apps. What do your mobile devices have to do with being an author? Well, nowadays, everything. Our mobile devices are business tools. We access our social media accounts from our mobile devices more often than we access them from our computers. If you are a mobile phone app junkie like me, this could take a while. Get rid of apps you no longer use on your mobile devices. First, though, wait, back up. Delete the associated online account and then delete the app. So if you're not using it anymore, get rid of the accounts, take off the apps. So that's a clean sweep. You don't have to worry about those being holes in your data security. Now update the apps on your mobile devices. I'm very guilty of this. I have out of date out of date apps on my phone, and the updates are the only way the vendors can patch their security holes for their app software. You need to do the rest. You need to do your part. So if there's an option to enable automatic updates for that app, do that too. And that's what they were meaning. The CISA was meaning was enable automatic updates if they're available. Okay, that's the end of day 2. I need to say now that you could do days 2 through 5 in any order. Download the checklist from the link in the show notes or head over to writingpursuits.com 5-day security challenge and scroll down until you see the Google Docs link. So if you're doing this in order at the end of day 2, your mobile devices and apps are up to date. Okay. Day 3, secure your social media accounts. How many times has Aunt Mary's Facebook account been hacked? Hacked accounts are embarrassing, potentially disastrous hazards of being present on social media. Unfortunately, authors need to be present on at least one or two social media platforms, so we need to take precautions. All right, so for every social media platform you use, change the password and store it in LastPass. Here we go again. For every social media platform you use, enable two-factor authentication. Most of them have that. If they don't, I wouldn't even bother being on that platform. On Facebook, you can go through the additional step of their security checkup. They have this whole thing that you can go through. Use Twitter's recommendations, use Instagram's guidelines. Those 3 things there's links in the show notes. Don't forget less obvious applications like LinkedIn, WhatsApp, Pinterest, Instant Messenger, or Facebook Messenger. Which is it? Read this article, and I'm going to put the link for this down in the thing From Wired about TikTok. TikTok is alluring, it's fun, it's huge, but it is also owned by a Chinese firm. Take care. At the very least, don't link it to Facebook or Google. Do everything you can to lock your account down. In the end, though, realize that TikTok is mainly interested in collecting your data. That is a fact of life. In fact, it's a fact of life for every platform, but it's a concern since it is a Chinese owned company. Be choosy about which apps get your information and which ones you link other accounts to. Generally, generally speaking, proven social platforms are better equipped to handle security issues than newer ones. So take that for however you want to take that. That's the end of day 3. And now your social media platforms are much more secure. Also, don't share your birth date on any social media platform. That's a bonus tip. I can't get over the number of people that publish their birthday on Facebook. Just please don't do that. So far, we have considered email account security, mobile device security, and locking down your social media sites. Maybe day 4 should have been day 1. It's that important. Day 4, secure your financial information. I've been hacked. It's terribly upsetting. It's a lot of work to get everything set back in place, and you can lose money that way. So, one of the things I've asked my mom to do for her PayPal account is to implement two factor authentication. And I've begged her repeatedly to change her password system. She uses a sticky note system, but at least I know her passwords are unique for each site and terribly long and complicated. So, there's that. 1, you know the drill. Log into every financial account and change the password and store the password in LastPass. You can also store the questions to the security questions in the notes for every login in your vault. That's really cool. They have the user ID, the password, and then they have a notes section down at the bottom. I use that for my security questions and the answers to those, and then anything else I want to remember like the last time I changed the password. Um, anyway, I keep all that stuff down there. Check your banks, stores, subscriptions that you pay online, either manually or automatically. Let's see. Remember your utility companies and your premium accounts, like let's say Peacock or Netflix, your newspaper, Amazon, Target, Etsy, Woot, Walmart, um, and how about your doctor's offices, healthcare accounts, and pharmacies? So those are really important, personal, financially related places. Go and make sure all those are locked down. That you have individual, unique passwords for each site. That way, if they figure out what you do at Target, they can't go and use that at Amazon. Make sense? Or they can't use it at your bank. Go to each account and say it with me. Change the password stored in LastPass and lock it down with two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication is like a handshake. If you've never used it before, you sign in, and then what it does is it says, "Hey, I'm going to send a code to your phone or to your email, and you're going to input that code." And that means that nobody without your phone, without your email account, can um, finish the login. So that's a safety feature. There's also little hardware devices that like I think they're called keys that you can plug into your computer. And if it doesn't have that key or your phone, if you don't have that key, then you can't get into your account. So it just depends on how important that is to you. Did you know you can store your credit card and debit card information in LastPass? I sound like a commercial for LastPass. Honestly, this is not an affiliate thing. That means you don't have to trust your pizza place to keep your card information safe. I find that very comforting. Day 4 will take longer than an hour. Make it a daily discipline. You will never regret having strong defenses, but you will definitely regret getting hacked. Okay, day 5. If you have a website, lock it down. Change the password. You know the rest. Purchase antivirus software for your local computer and use it. Surprisingly, your local computer is a key part of your website security, especially um, if you're the one doing the updates. Back up your computer. I use CrashPlan. Again, this is not a commercial. It's just the one I use. There are several great services out there. Just do it. The email it to yourself is a bad solution. So back up your files to the cloud too. Can you ever have enough copies of your manuscripts? Is that possible? I don't think so. Keep the base operating system on your local computer up to date. This is a great big pain. I'm not a fan of Windows 11. I'm never a fan of their new Windows operating system, but you get used to it. If your operating system is no longer supported, and I know all you Mac fans are going, "Eh." If your operating system is no longer supported, like Windows XP, your machine is open to viruses and malware. So make this a kind of a team effort. Okay, make sure your browsers are up to date. Back up your website always. Usually you can do this through your host. Websites are expensive to build, so find a reputable website backup service. Um, some plugins are very good, but I like to do it through my host. I use SiteGround. Again, not a commercial. I'm just telling you what I use. Go to your website host and implement every security measure they recommend. Okay, we live in a world where we're deeply embedded in online commerce and we have many online accounts. I think the average for the average American is about 70 accounts. That's a lot of passwords. That is why we tend to reuse passwords, and that's a huge data security risk because the password is about where 80% of us get hacked. So we need to make sure that that's not a point of weakness. This process will likely need to be a daily discipline. Soon, however, you'll find that you've got it down and it won't be a big deal. Get your spouse or significant other involved. Get them on board because a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. So if Susie or Bubba is using their birthday to get into your bank account, that's no good. All right, so take a few moments every time you log into a new site to make sure your access is secure. If you own a small business or you're a corporate leader, check out the Shields Up notice at CISA because there are more steps for you to take to protect your business from cyber attacks. Take the 5-day security challenge and rest easier at night knowing you have been proactive about protecting your data. As I stated, there are hundreds of ways to make your data more safe, and I simply don't have the bandwidth here to cover them all. This is a strong beginning, though. Leave your favorite solutions in the comments. You can download these steps at writingpursuits.com. 5-day security challenge. There's no login, no sign up, no nothing like that. It's just a Google Doc. Download it and use it as a checklist, and then look for it on the blog page because it's going to be a blog post. Anyway, the question of the week is: what is your favorite data security tip or software? Please share your comments for episode 24 at writingpursuits.com/podcast or down below on YouTube. Thank you for joining me today. If you have questions about writing or need a story diagnostic, please go to writingpursuits.com. That's all I have for today. Until next time. Financial account you have, change the password, which I know is a duplicate from somewhere else, and dogs. We will wait for the dogs to quit barking. Someone is at the door. Hush! 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 Da, 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 da. Big long break in the middle. La da da.